Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am Dr. James Smith Jr., and welcome to another edition of the Dr. James Show. If I look giddy, it's because I am. I cannot wait to bring out our guests. Before we do that, just think the year is just about over. Wow, we're nearly halfway through December, and what a difference a year makes. Last year, to me, seemed like it took forever, but this year, it's been zooming by. Thank you for coming. I hope you brought a friend or two, as we will have another informational and transformational show today. Before we get started, one more thing. How about another edition of Alumni Love, this time with Emily Sizek. Let's take a look. Hi, everyone. It's Dr. James here with another edition of Alumni Love. And you know we love our alumni hard. And today we have one of our alumnus, Emily Sizek. Emily, what's going on?
Oh, just getting ready for the holidays. How are you?
I'm good. Just married my daughter off last weekend. Spectacular, beautiful bride. I'm biased, but she was. But you're back on Alumni Love to tell us what's been going on, what's keeping a smile on your face, what have you been doing since the last time you were on the Dr. James Show?
Gosh, what haven't we been doing? Since we were on the show, we've launched one of our new product features, our online will maker, in 14 markets. We've ended up increasing our paid revenue and by 1,500% in quarter over quarter. So that's really exciting. That validates the need for online wills to be really simple and affordable for families. We've been featured in Real Simple magazine and parents.com, which is awesome. But what I'm most excited about is the launch of our crowdfunding campaign, because it allows investors at all levels, no matter who you are, the ability to really be part of our mission and making end-of-life legacy planning and kind of estate planning really simple for everyone. And so with as little as $100, you can invest in our mission. And so we're super excited about that. And that's really what keeps a smile on my face. And been really busy.
What's been the key? What's been the key to all this? Because you guys are doing it.
The key is really knowing why you're doing the things you're doing and the mission. We want to make it so much easier for people to manage and really operate their families today for a better tomorrow. And so that's what we're really excited about. And once we see these things happening, it just keeps us going, and we're so excited about it.
But we're excited for you too. Stay in touch. We will keep you in mind, top of mind. And if people want to reach out to you, how can they do that?
They just go to thepostage.com. And if they're interested in the crowdfunding, it's thepostage.com/for-investors.
Beautiful, beautiful. You take care. We love our alumni and we love you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Our guest today, Tonya Comer. Tonya is an author. She's a speaker. She's a global transformational leader. She's a product designer. She is an interior designer. She is an amazing entrepreneur, person, woman, in person to be reckoned with today and tomorrow, well into 2022. Let's welcome Tonya Comer to the Dr. James Show. What's up, TC?
Hello.
How are you?
I am super, Dr. James. Lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you. I'm excited about this interview because there are so many facets, so many stories, so many sides. You live your life out loud.
I do indeed.
And as you're doing it, you always have that spectacular smile on your face. Before we dive into you and our conversation, I want the folks to know that questions, comments, put it in the chat room. Please join the experience with us. And Tonya, before you tell us a little bit about your background, I want to show the first part of a video where you began to tell the Tonya Comer story. Let's take a look.
3 words that define me: grace, generosity, and love. I have accomplished many things. I've had many accolades. I've overcome a lot. I've experienced a lot. I was raised in a government housing project in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, by my mother only. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon to feed my wants, my needs, and my desires. I was fed by hard work, commitment, and a dream. I was able to see a world that was much bigger than me, and I knew that I wanted to experience that world.
Let's talk about those 3 adjectives. Let's begin to tell the Tonya Comer story. Thoughts after watching that and just hearing and sharing where it started and where it is.
Sure. So as you heard in the video, I was raised in a government housing project, and I would describe my journey from growing up in a government housing project to being named one of the top 20 African-American interior designers. Dr. James, you found that photo?
we're gonna keep it on here for a minute because I want you to talk about the projects, talk about that little 3-year-old, and talk about African-American top 20 interior designers in the country.
I can't believe you found that photo. I love you. Yeah, so that was me at 3. And wow, I'm touched. I'm really touched.
we do our best to tell the entire story. And look at that angelic future global life changer interior designer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the little girl, right?
Yeah. I had an absolutely committed, dedicated, persevering, hardworking mother. And through circumstance, we found the opportunity of living in the government housing project to be a necessary means to an end. And so that's where I grew up. And it was something that I believe was necessary for me in order to evolve into the woman that I am.
Talia, what did you learn during that time as a little girl in that challenging environment that has stayed with you today?
Well, I've learned the value of work. I've learned that you can't judge a book by its cover. I've learned that good people come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. I've learned many, many valuable and important lessons as a result of growing up in that environment.
Well, now you're one of the top 20 African American interior designers in the country. How does that feel?
Remarkable. Certainly, I never saw that coming. When I first started in this business in 2021, yeah, I did not realize that there would be an African-American top 20.
Wow.
And so it was a group of African-American interior designers that said, hey, look, we deserve to have our own version of the Grammys or the Emmys, right? And it became a peer-nominated process to identify interior designers around the country who lead with a mission, who do great work, who serve an A-list clientele, and most importantly, do it with a full heart.
Mm.
And so to be nominated by my peers is the most important part of this. It's not necessarily being named one of the top 20. It was initially an annual award, and they've moved since to every other year. So I was named 2 consecutive years as the top 20 African American.
Stop. They say in life that is not the destination. It's oftentimes the journey. We have a clip of you talking about the journey, and we want to get you to fill in the blanks. Your road, your journey to design. Let's take a look.
I didn't wake up one day and decide to become an interior designer. It was a journey of overcoming the odds. I completed graduate school and secured a job with the world's largest office furniture company in Michigan. While I was there, I became exposed to design. The design of almost anything, any consumer product or usable product that we have was featured on all of these tackable walls. What was once to me a piece of electronics became fascinating because it has a physical form, an internal form, a structure, all of which has been designed. Design was at the forefront for the company, and all of a sudden it became at the forefront for me.
Wow. Chills. I seldom have conversations with people about interior design, and you just took my vision to a whole different level. Talk to us about your love of design and your journey to get there.
Let me just make sure that the point that I made in that video is really, really clear, which is I found my way to design by discovering first that every single thing we interact with has been designed. To me, that was the aha moment that made design real for me. Coming from the projects, I knew that wealthy folks had people to do things for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I had no idea that there was a such thing as an interior design profession and that people went to school and trained and learned. I was in corporate. I had completed a graduate school. I have an MBA from Michigan State University. I completed graduate school. I'm climbing the corporate ladder expecting to be a senior executive in advertising or communications. That was my career path at the time. And when I discovered design, I knew that I had an interest. I knew that I had a talent for it. When I was a teenager, I used to make things. I first started with making clothing, and then that evolved into making household items like curtains or pillows or quilts or blankets. And I would do these things and give them away as gifts. You know, if my friends had a baby, they naturally got a handmade quilt from Tanya with, you know, it was highly personalized for them. And when people bought a new house, they got a handmade gift. So I love to put my heart into the gift giving. So I knew I had an interest and a talent, but I didn't know that there was a profession. So discovering that every single thing we interact with is designed, I have here a tape measure.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of effort that goes into making this particular tape measure, the amount of people involved, the amount of technology, the amount of engineering, the amount of sketches would blow your mind just to make this little thing. And when I got clear on that, then my eyes opened up to the world in a completely different way. I could never see the world in the same way. So I see everything as an object of collaboration and genius. And I knew that I wanted to be in that space.
It's just ironic. I see the world through stories. The stories and lessons that I can use during my keynote speeches. You see everything through design, and how can we bring it and pull it all together? I get it. I so get it. There's a question from the chat room. Person says, what would you say are 3 keys to being a successful interior designer? 3 keys. I know there are a ton, but what are the first 3 that come to mind?
Number 1 is vision. So it is extremely helpful to have the ability to see something out into the future. Ultimately, what your goal is to identify. The second skill is problem solving, because design, as much as it is about the creative, ultimately you're solving a problem. There is a problem to be solved. It's not just let's put a nice sofa in this room. And so number 2, problem solving. Number 3, communication skills, having a really great ability to engage one-on-one with another human being, because the profession of interior design is highly intimate.
Highly intimate, and it has to inspire you, and you need a design philosophy. I think you speak about both of those in this video clip we're about to show. Let's take a look.
I'm inspired by my clients, their taste, their preferences, their families, their lifestyles, their joys, their wants. But I'm also inspired by texture. My design philosophy is that texture starts first with your interior architecture. Once you add the furniture and the furnishings, the room just smiles. And that is absolutely what I live for inside of this business, making a room smile.
What? What? That is awesome. Tell us about your design philosophy about making a room smile and what goes into it. Like you said, you see the world differently. Can you give us some more insight?
Absolutely. Well, a couple of things, and it's the point number 3 of the question that I just answered, which is how important that communication is between myself and the client, the level of intimacy that's involved. A room can only smile when it reflects that person who's going to be dwelling in that space or utilizing that space. And so for me, it is most important that I understand the needs, wants, desires, wishes, lifestyles of my clients so that I can have their home reflect that. Now, don't get me wrong. If I am presented the opportunity to solve a problem in a vacuum, meaning there are no criteria, no limitations, no constraints, and I can solve that problem, that room can still smile, even if I'm not given particular parameters. But the best rooms are those that reflect the people who live in them or that use them.
Tonya, I want you to think back at a time when you had some unforeseen challenges or obstacles in working toward getting that room to smile. Does a time come to mind, one example, one situation where you were working, maybe the materials, maybe your clients, something wasn't going right? You had to overcome the situation in order to get that room to smile.
Do you think I can choose just one? I am right now sitting in an office that I designed for one of my clients. I am on a job site. I stepped away from construction, threw on this little getup, and I am here with you. Okay. And moments before this Zoom started, my client is physically expected to move in tomorrow. I still have a range hood that doesn't work, plumbing that's not connected, a dishwasher that has no handle, and a number of other things that just have to come together in order to get this place ready for me to invite my clients back home after they've been living in a hotel and a second home that they have. And so
what goes into your poise? You're calm. You're calm. Most people be pulling their hair out. What's going to happen? Or they're going to negativity, Bill. What's keeping you calm and poised?
Oh my gosh. You know, I wasn't always this way. There were times when I would lose it, really. But over time, mostly with what's become another thing that's become really important to me is I began to take a look at what motivates me, what drives me, and how can I keep myself happy regardless of my circumstance, my situation, or an obstacle. And so I am working every single day to keep my mindset focused on positivity, because that is absolutely the key to any level of accomplishment, is being able to be positive in the face of any circumstance, situation, or obstacle.
Do you have a recipe, a mantra, affirmations that you share or say to yourself during those challenging times?
I do. The first thing is I start my day. This is unequivocally necessary. I start my day with gratitude. I am thankful to wake up every day. And there are many things I can be thankful for. I create it on my phone so that I can use it no matter where I am. A list in the notes app on my phone of all the things I'm grateful for. So if I am in a place where I can't generate a new thought, which happens sometimes, then I read from my phone and it immediately gets me connected back to my heart, back to my purpose, and back to my strength.
That's good. That's good. You talk about your purpose. Again, borrowing from this awesome clip that I have, I believe you talk about your purpose and putting your mark everywhere. Let's take a look.
Style is where I know I can make my mark. When I help my client find their own unique, individual style, that's when I've done my job. There was a time in my life when I was actually homeless. Here I am today, creating homes as sanctuaries for others. My purpose is to make the world a beautiful place. Even after 13 years in this business, I have only just begun to make my mark. I know there's a lot more work to do, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Watching that, does it make you think? How does it make you feel?
Well, gratitude.
Mm.
I am so grateful for my journey. I am grateful that I went from, I wouldn't change anything about my life. With all the ups and downs and the twists and turns and the hardships, I wouldn't change one thing about my life.
Well, let's talk about that journey a little bit. I read someplace when I was doing my research where you shared that at one point you were experiencing victimhood. I mean, on the outside, look at you, you're gorgeous, you're super smart, successful business person. But that's what we saw on the outside. But on the inside, there wasn't the congruency that we look for between what's inside and what's outside. What was happening, and how did you move through that transformational or transformative time?
Thank you so much for that question. This is something that I hope the listeners will really tune into, because if you walk away with nothing from this time you spend with us here today, I want you to get this. I'll share my story and I'll ask you to look yourself for how this story can apply to you. So when I was in third grade, I became the object of ridicule, critique, and bullying by the popular girls in school. And in a moment in time, I made a decision in third grade about who I am. And what decision I made was that I don't matter. I'm not important. Now, all people make some kind of decision at some point in their life about who they are. And most of the time in our early years, those decisions we make are not favorable about ourselves. So what I determined was I'm not important. Someone else will say, you're going to leave me. Or someone else will say, I'm not pretty. Someone else might think I'm not smart enough. Someone else might think, you're going to, I already said you're going to leave me, but those are the common ones.
Yeah, sure.
And it's all some version of I'm not good enough. Okay. So most people do this in early childhood development. And so over time, we live into this story we've created about ourselves. We seek to prove it and we seek to disprove it. But in both scenarios, proving it and disproving it, there's an unhealthy relationship to ourselves.
Sure.
So for me, my story was I'm not important. And so throughout my life, as I'm building a career, as I'm getting educated, as I'm building a career, as I'm moving on and getting married and living, trying to live into this future that I could see for myself, there was still this little girl
Wow.
who had been bullied.
Wow.
That was really running the show.
Mm.
And so that's the victim, the little girl who was hurt and bullied. So the moment I would face some obstacle, as you said to me, Dr. James, you look so poised right now while you have all this crazy going on over here.
Sure.
When I'm breaking down, when my circumstance, situation, or obstacle looks the way it looks, and I'm having a breakdown, that breakdown is most likely attached back to some decision about me being important. You get it? Any altercation I'm having, any disappointment I'm having, any frustration I'm having. If someone cuts me off on the road and I get upset with that person, it's because I'm feeling not important. It's not because what that person did. So as I asked all of the listeners to kind of look for themselves, I just want to make this point, if you wouldn't mind, Dr. James.
No, make it.
The victimhood of life shows up in the decisions that you make about your life. And if that is, am I smart enough? Are you going to leave me? Do you love me? Am I pretty enough? If those are your questions, you will find that everything you confront in life in which you feel smaller than you actually are is typically related back to that question. For me, once I became aware of that, it doesn't mean that I've conquered now all of a sudden this ability to always feel important. That's not the way it works. But I'm aware now. And so I can be responsible for how I choose to act, behave, and respond in any situation.
I'm glad you shared that, because oftentimes people will say, this person has it all together, or I want to be like them, or we don't know the other person's story. And they say the grass is greener where you water it. But for you to share that there was a time when you didn't believe you were good enough, and you were still able to be relatively successful during that journey. And then once you realized what it is and how I could work through it in that moment, you're giving hope and inspiration to a lot of people.
Yeah, I have far more to give now, because I'm giving from a place of knowing how to serve, as opposed to giving from a place in which I'm seeking to validate something.
I like the fact that you've been able to parlay your love for interior design relative to homes, apartments, condos, etc. Now working on people interior design, working with people, helping them to work their stuff. But before we go there, there's a question in the chat room that says, how are you able to effectively shift your career path from corporate to interior design? Can you describe that process, how you made that transition? Absolutely,
sure. This is my journey, so it might be different for you. If this is something you're thinking about, I'll try to make it as transferable as I can. So when I discovered every single thing we interact with has a design component, and that gave me this aha that I am meant to be doing these things that involve creative collaborations that serve people in major ways. Once I got that aha moment, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I had to move in that direction. So I was working in corporate. I was actually in a really great job. I was a consultant for this office furniture company. And the trajectory at that point could have led me to being CEO somewhere, if I had followed that trajectory. However, I decided that I was going to take steps backward in order to ensure that moving in the direction of design was the right move for me. And it was a great risk. So I left the corporate environment and went into the sales force. And while I was in the sales force, I'm telling you, universal alignment, I got the worst job in the company. But it was the position that got me closest to the clients, and I could do one-on-one design. Now, mind you, I'm in the field responsible for managing $10 million accounts. I had a $30 million market. I'm supposed to be selling product, not designing. But I got the worst job in the company, in which we didn't have enough distribution support to help these smaller clients. So Tonya became that person, and I started doing design work on the side while I'm trying to manage and grow this territory. And luck had it that I ended up in the right circumstance at the right time, and I took the right actions. I validated that I could be an interior designer, and voila, I got laid off. So now I got laid off. I have a severance package, and I used that package then to buy a decorating franchise. Once I got the decorating franchise, I worked that business for 5 years. I learned what I needed to learn. At that point, I knew that I didn't want to be a franchise owner for forever. There were limitations to the way I could serve. And again, as luck would have it, my then husband got a job transfer, and we relocated. I'm now outside the franchise territory, and I had an amicable parting of ways with the franchise company. And so what I'm offering here is, for me, that was my path. The takeaway for you is, first, follow your heart. If your heart says do it, do it. Secondly, be willing to take the risk. So if you have to take a couple of steps backward in order to get that push forward, take those risks. And then thirdly, always look for the opportunity to continue to prove that this is the thing that you want to do for yourself.
Tonya, someone said, did you have any help in doing this? And they also said, hallelujah for layoff.
Yeah. Any setback is an opportunity for a comeback, right? And so sometimes it's an opportunity for like the biggest push forward or push up. And so of course, it was initially hard to accept the layoff, but it served to be one of the most valuable things for me. There was a question there too, right?
So the person said, did you have any help in getting your business going? And then, again, the hallelujah for the layoff.
Yeah, the help was, with the exception of the fact that the franchise company had a system that I could buy into that helped me to understand interior design. Remember, I mentioned I didn't know anything about interior designers. I had no idea that there was even a profession. So I did start taking classes when I discovered that I was interested. I attended London Metropolitan School of Design virtually before virtual was even really popular. And I learned all of the science of design. And but the franchise system helped me to understand how to build the relationships with suppliers and how to serve my clients using certain tools, and how to build a system or a process or a procedure around serving clients in the creative world. So that in that regard, I had help.
Love it. I love it. Let me share a little bit about what I read on Tonya with the audience, and you could either smile or frown. Or an article in Black Enterprise Blueprint said that you were dynamic, transparent, engaging, delightful, inspiring. Ooh. You agree?
Yes, I will own that. Yes. Thank you.
Please step into
Take it in, and I own it. Thank you.
I also read where you're a roller coaster junkie, you're a hiker, you've been skydiving, parasailing, you rappel down buildings, you've been zip lining, you are what? If people were just look at you, Now look at these pictures. Look at these pictures. Talk to us. What's happening here, Tonya?
So I want to bring some context to these photos. It's really valuable here. There's a lesson here, which is, so at the time of this particular event, I had just separated from my husband, and I was in the ugliness of victimhood, right? I'm in the bed sobbing every night and feeling so alone and completely unimportant. And at one morning I woke up and I said, enough is enough, Tonya. You've got to find your strength. And so for me, I love the woods. In the projects that I grew up in, we had hills. I grew up in Pittsburgh. If you don't know, it's very hilly. And the project sat up on a hill, and to get down the hill, we would shortcut through these woods. And so I found a tree there that I would hang out with the other. I was a tomboy. I find a tree that I would hang out with the guys, and we try to climb this tree. And so I spent a lot of time in the woods. So it's my place of refuge. So on this particular morning, after, saying enough is enough, Tonya, I decided I was going to go within driving distance to a place where I could challenge myself. And so this is a challenge course. It's a 22 challenge, a course of 22 challenges, and you do it up in the air on canopies. Yeah. Oh, wow. On canopies that are attached to trees.
Look at you. Look at you zip lining and risking your life. Wow. When you were up there, any fear, trepidation, or?
That's why I did it. This is a place where I don't feel fear. When I'm participating in adventures, I don't have fear, a debilitating level of fear. I have a healthy level of fear that I can move through pretty easily.
Now, before you got up there, would you say you had hit your rock bottom, or was there another rock bottom that you had to elude to become the person you are today?
Yeah, there were 3 rock bottoms. There were 3 versions of rock bottom. That happened before the bottom fell out, really.
Sure. Now, since I do know you a little bit, I know you love outdoors. I know you love going to transformational workshops, landmark, etc. What has moved you to take your interior design expertise to now working on people? Because we know you have a book that's coming out soon, and I think we have the cover of the book for everyone to take a look at. In heels and high heels on a ladder. Well, I see you now moving, not leaving the interior design for homes, but I see you moving toward the interior design for individuals. What moved you there?
Yeah. When I hit rock bottom, I asked the worst question you can ever ask God, the universe, the Almighty, whatever you refer to, spirit, whatever you refer to it. I asked the worst question, which is the why question. You rarely will get an answer to the why question. It's not the question to ask, but I didn't know that at the time. And I think at some point, God, the universe, spirit said to me, Tonya, enough of the why questions. You just have to share your story with other people. That was the answer. Why am I going through this? Why me? Why now? The answer was, you have to share your story with other people. You are not on this journey alone. And so when I heard that, I decided there's a book in me. I can share my story. And my story is the journey of defining for myself what we'll call the unanswerable question, or that sentence is. The I don't matter, I'm not important sentence. It's like you live in prison once you define that for yourself, right? And so So it's the journey of how that I share how that particular decision impacted my life to the point of this particular breakdown, and all of the steps that I began to take in order to rebuild my life after that big fall. And so I'm sharing that story because I want to help other people, particularly women, overcome guilt, shame, and regret. And my belief is that when I help women overcome guilt, shame, and regret, the only thing that is left is unconditional love. And with unconditional love, women uniting, I envision touching 1 million lives. So 1 million women united in love, unconditional love, embracing each other around the globe, we can actually heal the world.
Heal the world. Heal the world. Tonya, I love a number of things about you, but one in particular, you are always under construction. You are always doing work on yourself. We're going to show a clip here momentarily of you getting feedback after having attended a 4-day workshop. You're talking about energy and the significance of energy. But I love that you continue to grow, to learn, and to put yourself in situations where you're challenged. Let's take a look.
Hi, family. I have desired for years to participate in a Tony Robbins event. Finally, through the blessing of digital technology, I've had a chance to participate. I spent the last 4 days, 4 nights in a Tony Robbins retreat. And in one word, it was amazing. I have one nugget through pages and pages and pages and pages of notes. There's one nugget that I want to share with you. It is that nothing extraordinary has ever been created without extraordinary energy. We spent 4 days, 4 nights talking about how to increase and sustain energy in order to produce results in the areas of life that matter to us. And I am so excited that at this particular moment, while I've waited for years and years, it showed up in my life in this particular moment, the exact moment that I needed this particular lesson, these teachings. And I'd be remiss if I didn't share it with you. I think during this time of COVID, we all need a little extra boost. We need some support. And definitely, learning how to increase our energy is an important part of sustaining and building what's next for us.
Learning how to increase our energy. That was beautiful. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that experience and your thoughts about the role energy plays in design?
Yeah. Well, first of all of life is energy. Everything in life is energy. We all move, breathe because of energy. And unfortunately, without that awareness, we are looking outside of ourselves for something else to bring some level of stimulation, whatever that might be. For some people, there's a drug of choice. For other people, it is, seeking approvals or, there's some kind of stimuli that we're looking for outside of ourselves. But when you get clear that everything in life is energy, you yourself are energy, and you use your energy to your best possible benefit, you can have the best possible life.
I love it.
You don't need anything other than yourself.
Right. Another way you use your energy is working with nonprofits. I have a picture of you. I think you have your hands up for Mom's House in Phoenixville. Can you tell us what that's about?
Sure, absolutely. This was a fundraising opportunity. I rallied with a group of people who were participating in a program with me, a leadership development training. And we decided to raise money for an organization called Mom's House. And it was their Phoenixville location just outside of Philadelphia. And we had a record-breaking fundraising effort right at the beginning of COVID, go figure. We raised over $110,000 for this small organization. It changed their their lives and change their world. And the organization was devoted or dedicated to providing supplemental support services for single mothers who were interested in going back to school or going to work. And so this agency provided provided childcare, food and supplies, diapers, things like that to support parents.
And I hear one of the ways that you raised money was to participate in a little challenge where you really went all in.
Dr. James, no, you didn't.
To show your commitment to the experience. Let's watch this video of you in action.
Hi, Facebook family. I am wearing this ridiculous getup because one of my teammates in Next Level trainings challenged me to do something that I would never do. So I stand here in this ridiculous getup for you, Trent. Thank you for tuning in, Facebook family. As you have already heard, probably, I am raising $2,000 to support Mom's House. Mom's House is a beautiful nonprofit doing really great work in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. And Mom's House is supports single parents who are pursuing their education. And during this time of COVID, they are reinventing themselves in order to cause a greater contribution to these families and the surrounding community. And I am passionate about supporting Mom's House and so deeply excited, so much so that I would dress this way.
I love it. You go all in. You're vulnerable, you're powerful. Look at you. And you said, I don't care what I look like. This is for a greater cause. It's bigger than me.
Right.
How was
and
it?
Thanks to you, it gets more endorsement. I appreciate
it. now you went from that amazing experience to raising the money, nonstop, philanthropic, to then putting on your Master of Ceremonies look in order to be in charge of that event that evening. We'll show a picture and I want you to tell us about that experience when you were Master of Ceremony. Let's take a look at the picture and talk to us about that.
That was actually a green screen behind me. And so this was right before we started to lead this Zoom event. It was a fundraising event for the Greater Washington Urban League. And I was a board member at the time. And so I was leading this fundraising opportunity.
You wear so many hats, so many. Is it easy to take them on or compartmentalize them, or it's just who you are all the time? It's how you show up?
Well, I believe to whom much is given, much is expected. And I love being a giver. I love providing and serving others. And so it brings me tremendous joy to be able to do things like that. And I would rather do that than anything else.
I love it. I love it. 2 questions real quick in the chat room. One person wants to know how to get the book. When is it coming out? Just all the information on that. And then someone else says, what would you say to people who are flat out scared to go for their dreams, who have just reached rock bottom?
Okay, let me address the second question first. If you've reached rock bottom, recognize this. There's no other place there to go than up. So the only thing you have to do at that point is take one tiny step. And that one tiny step will lead to the next one tiny step. And eventually you are climbing yourself up the ladder to your success. That rock bottom place is there to serve you. In taking these small steps, the best thing you can do for yourself is to identify what it is that is serving you as a result of your circumstance. And that's how you rebuild your life. Regarding my book, I have received phenomenal feedback from one of the world's greatest authors in the transformational space. His name is Jack Canfield. He is the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
Yeah.
And he loves my book and gave me some feedback. And so I am incorporating his feedback along with some new inspiration that I have, and I'm tweaking my book. So based on that feedback, one of the ideas is that I pursue pretty heavily with a publisher as opposed to self-publishing. So I'm in that process right now. So I can't tell you when the book is coming out. It would have come out previously without this amazing opportunity I had with Jack Canfield. But you are in the network with Dr. James. And so absolutely, as soon as I have more information between, his supporting you with providing information and mine, you will know when the book is coming out. I'll make sure of it.
We will put it on blast. Don't worry. The world will know, especially with you being a future alumnus of the Dr. James Show. Tonya, we've talked about your love of product design, interior design, outdoors, hiking, parasailing, working with nonprofits, giving back, raising money. But we haven't talked about your love of dancing. We got a little video of you showing us a few of your steps, you getting it in. So let's show that video of you getting it in. I love it. You are the epitome of someone who lives their life out loud. Talk about that, Tonya.
First of all, you and Facebook, we need to take you off of that thing. For goodness sakes,
just doing my research, showing the entire person.
So yeah, I live out loud. I think the biggest part of living out loud for me, I do like adventure. I love play. I love having fun. I love smiling. I love laughing. Those are things that are necessary for me in my life. And so I've determined that to live a really great life, to design a life that I love, involves all of those things. And so I would rather live a life I love than not. And so
with that said, Tonya, tell us about your global plan, as well as living a life of your own design. So I guess the power of one's own design. Tell us a little bit about your global plan and just the power of creating your own design, living your life in your own design.
Absolutely. So most people go to a stadium and there's stadiums around the world that can fill 60,000 people or more.
Mm.
And they go there to the stadiums to root for their favorite team or their favorite athlete or even the underdog. I have this vision that there are stadiums around the world, the largest stadiums around the world will get filled with women. All of those seats right there that you see in that photo are filled with women. And up there on the screen is Tonya Comer.
Love it.
And Tonya Comer is leading these women through this most transformational, powerful experience of healing from guilt, shame, and regret, which I've mentioned before. And I'm a part of this consortium of other women who are delivering messages specifically to women. And it is in this environment where women get nurtured in their healing and supported in their healing. And as I talked about, that ripple effect that gets caused by love, unconditional love, forming in stadiums around the world. And we now go out into our communities and we pass on love to our neighbor and our neighbor's neighbor and the neighbor's 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 neighbor. And in the end, we just create this amazing hug that heals the world. For me, as a visionary, it starts by picturing myself in these auditoriums.
You said the hugs that heal the world. I love it. I love it. Tonya, how do you balance doing your interior design work with clients all over the world? So you're traveling nonstop, with speaking, with coaching, with philanthropy. How do you find the time, or how do you balance that? And you're doing it right now during a pandemic.
Yeah, I'm not the master of the balance yet. I have lots of work to do in the area of balance. What I can say though is that I love what I do. And so loving what I do just makes it all worth it. And it makes it easy to take on each of those tasks that I choose to take on.
Can you quickly describe the type of clients you get in your design work, your interior design work?
Absolutely. Up until now, I have served primarily African-American couples who are hardworking people and just looking to have the best representation of themselves in their home. Mm-hmm. I also have commercial clients and others, but that's the bulk of my clients are those.
If people want to check out what you've done and what you're doing, where can they go? Website, where can they go to take a look?
Absolutely. My website is my first and last name.com. So that's TonyaComer.com. I'm sure in the communication you received from Dr. James, you will see a link there as well. And that would be one way to reach me. And another is via email at info@TonyaComer.com.
Thank you. Thank you. Tonya, it's that time in the show where mic check, we ask our guests to move a little closer to the camera, kind of a close up, and give a 30-second motivational, inspirational keynote. The year is almost over. We're moving into 2022. There's been some ups and downs, but call to action, inspiration. It's Tonya time. 30 seconds. Let's hear your inspirational keynote. What do you want them to know, feel, and do?
Absolutely. So the first thing I want you to know, lean in. I want you to know that you can do anything that you want to do. You are built to live a life of increase, a life of expansion, a life of growth, a life of pleasure, a life of fun, a life of joy. And you deserve to design a life you love. Anything short of that is living the life of a victim. And so I encourage you today to live your fullest expression. Own who you are. Own what makes you happy. Own what makes you alive. Own what makes you wake up in the morning. Own it, be it, do it, and have it. Dr. James has an expression. He says, to conquer something that you've never done before, you have to be the person that you're not.
Very good.
So, and he closes that with, go be that person today. And so I'm adopting that for you. Be that person today.
I love it. Be that person today. Tonya Comer, entrepreneur, author, product design, interior design, speaker, global presence. We thank you for making the time. Even while you're on a site right now doing work, we thank you for making that time, and welcome to the Dr. James Show family. You're now officially alum. For those of you who tuned in, wow, again, transformational, informational, thank you. Note, if you can put in the survey, we're considering 2022 doing the show at night, 7 p.m. on Tuesdays. We did it last week, and we are toying with taking it over into next year. So let us know your feedback. Would you join us on Tuesday evenings, or would you prefer to have it a Tuesday afternoon? Again, thank you for joining us. Please bring someone with you next time. Continue to live your life out loud. Remember, you've just been Gym Impacted. Take care.